Hey everyone, welcome to Trail Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Shimmons. Thanks for joining us once again for our trail and ultra running show. This week, got a really fun interview with Josh Wade. Josh is a rising star on the ultra trail scene, a Brit. He's just finished 22 minutes off the lead for third place at Transgrancanaria. Thankfully, I got in there early and asked Josh for the interview well in advance of the actual race. It was regardless of how he placed on the day. I've just been interested in chatting to him. He's somebody who just has a lot of energy and basically great buzz, great vibes, great hype around Josh because he's like the British Zach Miller, I would say. Like he races hard, he has a smile on his face, he seems like a good guy, and I can tell you that after chatting to him for the guts of 90 minutes, he definitely is that. But look, before we get into it, I got to thank our sponsors, xmiles.co.uk. Visit the link in the description. Use the code on screen, I Run Over Mountains, for a discount on checkout. It is an affiliate link, so a few quid gets kicked to the show. It helps us keep this thing going. We appreciate it, and we would love it if you would do that. Also, our apparel sponsor is GOREWEAR. So if you could visit gorewear.com and use the code IRunOverMountains30, it'll get you an amazing 30% off at checkout. That is a global discount code, so useful for all our American and worldwide guests. Please support our sponsors. That supports us. We appreciate it, and we love you. But without further delay, let's go and listen to the interview with Josh. Josh Wade, welcome to Trail Talk. It's great to have you on to have a chat. And we were just chatting before the camera started to roll. I did invite you on previous to the great run that you had last week at Transgrancanaria. Well, let's maybe start things off and just see like how the legs feeling, how are you feeling after a fantastic run?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Aaron. Yeah, no, actually, today was like the best I've felt since the race. Like, ran down the canal, it's a nice day, and the legs and body feel good. Like, today was the first day where I was like, okay, I can start properly with the consistency again in training. But since the race, yeah, actually, like even a few days after, I was walking, like legs felt alright, didn't have too much muscle soreness and stuff like that. Ate a lot of food. Um, like yeah, tucked into like you do after the race, like burgers and curries and all that sort of stuff. Like just indulge for a week, Josh, and do a bit of running and stuff like that. And then next week I'll do some more. Like I'll get back into my regime with the proper foods and stuff like that, and the running. So yeah, no, I'm psyched again now. I'm psyched. The psyche is back, ready for the next training block.
And you were already back on the doing the strength work as you were doing before we started recording, right?
Yeah. Well, I've decided in this. I don't usually do a lot of strength work actually. But I've decided in this block I'm going to do strength work before the UTMB block, just to get the body strong, so I can lay on the volume ready for UTMB. So I thought maybe it's a good idea to use this time now to get strong.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to come in onto that and ask you a bit about UTMB and future plans. But the Trail Talk, we have a global audience talking about the global sport of ultra trail, and I think it would maybe be a good way to set the stage just to find out a bit more about you rather than go straight into Transgrancanaria. So tell us a bit about how you got into the sport, even from like running or any childhood sports, things like this, and how you migrated your way through to now running global ultra trail.
Yeah, of course. Like I wouldn't say sporty when I was a kid, but my dad used to take me into the hills a lot, like even through winter and stuff like that. And you would consider that like aerobic based training, right? Like zone one, zone two sort of stuff. And yeah, so I would say I'm more come from that kind of thing. And then even before I was running, I was still in the hills, like walking around and stuff like that. And then I took up the running. I did some like short fell races and stuff like that, which were awesome. And I was just having a play about, and like I would just go into the hills before I did any ultras. I would just go out in the hills for like 6 hours. So I'll just throw a lot of food in my bag and then just go like have a day out. So like there was no like training schedule or anything like that. I was just enjoying it. I was just doing it for the love of, all right, I'm going for a day out, and this is how it started. So I'm literally just going out for like long days out. There was no like tempo runs or intervals or anything like that. Literally just having fun. And then, I did start doing some, like, I started to log stuff in I started to write things down and stuff like that about how many miles I'm doing because I was like, oh, I must be clocking up some mileage. So I started to write things down and things got a little bit more like, all right, yeah, like I want to hit like this mileage this week and still no tempos or intervals like this. It was just basic mileage, and I was just loving that. That's what I was loving doing with the mileage. Then I probably well, let's say, okay, yeah, I did my first, so before 2017, I'd only done like fell races and stuff like that. Then I did the ultra, which a friend who sometimes had these adventures with and stuff like that. He's like, oh, do you want to do this one in North York Moors? Like, yeah, why not? Nutrition was just not there at all. Yeah. Like super painful, psyched for more, and that's, I think, did I the following year do more like maybe Lake Sky Ultra and stuff like that, then later 100. This time, still not doing any speed work, nothing like that. Even, yeah, like did the Layla 100, still no, this is just off basic mileage, just going out in the hills, having fun. And even up till like COVID times. So I got to COVID times. When was that? 2021?
Yeah, came out of it in 2021, 2022, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I remember doing the Bob Graham, like the solo Bob Graham.
Just for the crack,
Yeah, exactly. So,
as you do.
yeah, as you do, yeah, yeah. It's like to Mel, I was like, right, we've got to do a Bob Graham. This is my wife, and I'm like, we've got to do Bob Graham. She's like, yeah, that sounds good. She's like, will you do the road support? And she's like, yeah. And this is another thing that was just done off having fun in the hills, right? It's like no like structure training, but like it was training definitely because I was doing mileage each week, probably I don't know 50 or 60 miles a week. But in the hills, so it's quite a lot. With you get a lot of elevation and stuff. So that again was off that kind of training. Then I started to get a bit more serious with the like adding on top now, like tempos. After this Bob Graham, I started to add other stuff in. Did Madeira when COVID finished, and that just opened my eyes to like how people race ultras in in Europe, and these people are really like blazing the trail from the start. It's so cool, and I'm like, whoa, I want some of that. I'm after some of that. I love this scene. So then I was like, okay, I'm prepared to put in the work, and I want to try and compete. That's when I started trying to lay on more. Like I got a coach, Kim helped me, and then I moved to Martin. So then I went through a phase of doing quite a lot of speed work, and obviously because I've been in the hills doing all this stuff, I need to work on flat running. I need to work on actual running. Not hill walking, going up, hiking up and down hills, or I need to actually be out there running roads, flat stuff. So that's where I've made my biggest gains.
It
I've
sucks,
got to
doesn't it?
do it.
Tell me about it.
You just got to plug away along the roads, and yeah, yeah,
I can
man.
hear Martin now telling you that this is what you have to do and this is what we're focusing on. You're just putting your head in your hands.
Yeah, and that's definitely where I've seen the biggest improvements for me. Like even this winter, I went through a winter just running flat, and I definitely think it's like obviously working on weaknesses is where we see the biggest gains, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm probably jumping forward a little bit, but it feels a natural time to talk about it. But I heard Caleb Olson in another interview say that um, he recognized during Transgrancanaria that you were a stronger hiker than him.
Okay.
So there is your base of something that you were doing from childhood rather than training was just like a natural strength for you already.
Yeah, I reckon definitely going up and down hills is more like a strength of mine.
So whenever you were doing going out in the hills when you were younger as a kid with your dad or this type of activity, I mean, it's not too dissimilar from Killian's upbringing. To be
Yeah.
fair, I mean that's what made him strong was just going up and down mountains with his family as a
Mm-hmm.
kid. You talked about going through different races and Lakeland 100 and things, and it all sounded very chill and like, oh, I just, ended up doing this or whatever. But once you get up to like 100 miles, like, and 100k, there's no sort of faking it. You need to have the fitness to be able to endure and enjoy it enough to want to come back and do it again. And then
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned going to Madeira, like,
Mm-hmm.
so there was a time there that you started the light started to come on and you started to know about the international scene. When was that, and who were the people that you were sort of following for inspiration?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So Madeira was definitely a race where like we set off and Jim Walmsley just Jim Walmsley's off and it was that was like whoa, you really raced these ultras like that from the start. And there was Matteo Blanchard there and stuff like that, and Courtney DeWalt as well. Like Courtney's a great athlete, and I was like seen Courtney through the night and stuff like that. And but you've got like 20 guys that are running off at these races that are like super hard and um yeah, no, it was that opened my eye. It was like, wow, this is really cool. You race that hard from the start, and that was like, okay, I want to really see where I can go with this. And there's a lot of work to be done. After Madeira, I was like, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm quite a way off that level, but yeah, I'm willing to put in the work and see where I get.
It feels like the whole fast starting of races, it was almost like a break point when Pau Capel ran off the front on at UTMB in 2019. I feel like prior to that, UTMB, for example, started relatively slow, certainly slower than how it starts now. Whereas he proved that you can gun it from the start, and if you're game enough and fit
Yeah, yeah,
enough, you
yeah,
can, it's up to you guys to catch me now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So
I
he sort
agree,
of
Aaron.
it feels like he changed the game back then. One thing that I've noticed from you is you seem to like to get after it. You're like a racer and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
that type of competitiveness. When did that start, or when did you kind of get that bug?
I would say more recently, I feel like I've got more competitive, especially before my mind shifted before Transgrancanaria like this time, whereas I wanted to be definitely more competitive and try and use the training that I've done over the past years to try and throw it into a good race. But yeah, I think as the years are going on, I'm getting more and more competitive, which I am learning. Like I'm learning all the time, but. Um, I look like you said, I was quite chill with it. Maybe later 100 and stuff like that. It was like, okay, I'm going for a day out, see what happens, push hard. But like now, I'm like, okay, no, I want to really get stuck in, um, and this is the way to do it for sure. Like, if you do the training, you've got to use the training. So later 100, yeah, no, super chill around then, and I'll turn up, yeah, like go out. Um, have a good day and all that. But now it's like you got to race these things hard and use the training that you've done because if you get to the end and there's somewhat left, then you haven't used everything that you've been working for however many years. And yeah, that's the situation
It's
I'm in right now.
every training block. It feels like you're just putting fitness in the bank, and then it comes to race day, and you have to spend it. And ultimately you want to have got a bump from that block and from that race to then build on for the next one. And it does feel like with your career that you have been steadily just racking up great results, and now I feel like you're only really at the start of your international ultra trail career. And thinking about some of your results, you DNF'd your first UTMB, and it is what it is. But you came back the following year and finished in, was it 2150,
Mm.
some around then. So it just feels like you're building momentum with your career. And
Yeah,
one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because I kind of recognize this momentum, and I'm really intrigued to know where's it going to go. So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
where do you think your potential is?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, Aaron. Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. This is just feels like okay, maybe I'm just getting started with the international racing scene, and Yeah, I can't see me stopping anytime soon because the fire just burns so brightly inside, and until that flame it goes down a little bit, then I can't see me calming down at all. This is it's just the hunger that I've got, and when like this is what I love doing, so and it gives me so much pleasure, and training is like it's such a big part of my life. I love getting up every day and just putting in the work, and like sometimes I say like I could do one race a year and train for 12 months. But it's not a good idea to do that because you may as well do a few races, but I literally could train for 12 months and just do one race because I just love training. So, but obviously I'll do more races than that. But um yeah, no, like you said, also it's the block on the block on the block on the, and that's what's making, like, every time you do a block, it's just building off the next one, right? These how, like, you're building the foundations, the house is building, you're adding bricks all the time, um, and it just doesn't happen over weeks. It's definitely months, it's years, and yeah, it takes a long time.
Your normal, we say normal, your day job is you're a gardener, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how many hours a week are you doing this?
I only do two days, so what's that? 8 hours, 16 hours a week.
Okay. And going into Transgrancanaria, you were clocking about 18 hours of time on Strava. I don't know what other training, if you're strength training or whatever is in on top of it. So you're putting in a lot of work, and your day job is manual.
Yeah, yeah,
It's essentially low intensity
yeah.
strength work.
It is.
Is there a point where you're going to go full time with the running and not be doing the gardening?
Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday, and there's pros and cons to it for me. If I go all in on the running, I'll lose the social, which I really like at work. Like I say, it's social. Like, you're obviously working and stuff like that, but great guys that I work with. Richard, who I work with, is super supportive of me, and it does make you robust, especially for ultra. Like, I look back at it, and when I was starting, I was working 5 days when I first started this, and then I dropped to 4 days, and I've had the opportunity to keep dropping each year, but sometimes, I would get up in the morning before work and run on the treadmill, and then I'll go and work a day in the rain, and then I'll come home, take my waterproofs off, running waterproofs on, and then go out running in the rain again. And I like it. Really makes you. It really toughens you up. And it's fatigue resistance. Like, the body is being able to handle all this work that's going on. So running 100-mile races, it's going to be under a lot of fatigue and stress. I don't know whether that has helped. You're 80 miles in, the body's like, oh, right, well, it's quite used to being under quite a lot of stress and working like that. That to me is like, thought, oh, right, well, it helped my work ethic a lot because it's like an elastic band, isn't it? It stretches. What becomes hard becomes kind of normal. So you do these morning runs, then you go to work, then you run in the evening. But the first few weeks, it's like, oh, this is hard. It feels like a grind. Then it gets normal, and it's like, oh, right, that's what you do. You just wake up, you run, you go to work, then you run, and that's normal now. The body's like got adjusted to it, and it's like when you build up your mileage. At first, it seems like a lot, and then you get used to it, and then you add more miles. It's just like that, really. So yeah,
And sorry, go ahead.
so I don't know whether I will stop full time, but I was talking about only doing one day a week on
It
a
keeps going
Wednesday.
down here, mate.
Yeah, one day a week on a Wednesday, so it's the middle of the week. Yeah, it's quite nice.
I hope that one day isn't going to become your run and rest day, because it won't be much of a rest.
Well, Mondays were always my rest day, and that was a day of just doing the same thing there, like walking around with lawnmowers and hedge cutting and stuff like that. That was the rest day.
If you see guys and they're going to a gym and pushing a trolley up and down with weights on AstroTurf, it seems a lot more real to be pushing a lawnmower up and down a hill in the rains.
That is it. Yeah, that is it, Aaron. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but do you think that there's obviously a benefit of doing the manual work and the
Yeah.
outdoors, and as you say, it's raising the bar of just what the baseline is of even the fatigue level. to the point that you're not even recognizing it. But do you think it does, or do you alter your training to so it doesn't affect the quality sessions?
Yeah, it's a good question. Because there does become a point where the fatigue is that much that the quality is just getting pretty bad. I haven't felt like that though. In like the Transgrancanaria block, I felt really good, and the quality felt really good, and I seem to have done, yeah, like you're saying, like maybe 18 hours of running and plus the work. The quality felt good. Yeah, I don't know where that kind of line is, but no, I don't. Even with that, I don't feel like it's making the the quality of the training any worse. I'm still able to do two quality sessions and a quality long run, and they still feel quite good.
So thinking more on then the lifestyle and financial impact of being a trail runner. Basically, like how long have you been with the North?
Yeah, I've been with the North Face now, maybe 20, what, maybe three years.
And
No,
is it
or is it 4 years? It could be 4 years.
and is that part of the international team? And is that your original contract, or has that evolved through time?
No, yeah, of course, yeah. So it's evolved. I actually started out, just getting kit and stuff like that, from a UK manager. So I got kit and like usual shoes and t-shirts and stuff like that. It started out like that, and then maybe a year down the line, I joined the athlete development program. So this was a program for 20 athletes, like across all boards. So running, snowboarding, climbing, alpinism, to join a program to try and help to go pro. So I joined that, and that was a 2 year contract, and did 2 years with them. That ended last March. So then I had another 1 year contract with the North Face, which has gone on till it's coming to an end now, the end of March, and they've just offered me a 2 year contract on the team for the next 2 years.
And does that play into your thoughts on going full time or not? Like what I'm trying to ask here in a very nice way is trail running becoming profitable enough that you could go full time?
Yeah, I probably could. Also with my other sponsors as well, Science in Sport, Nike. I could probably leave work. Like I haven't signed any contract with the North Face right yet, so I'm not certain. And I need to add it all up. But yeah, whether I would be in that position, I'm not sure. But yeah, that would be good. But like I say, I probably won't quit work. I would probably stay for a day.
Well, if you quit work, sure you'd have to start paying for gym membership or something.
Well, this is it, Aaron. This is what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to do some strength and conditioning or something to supplement the work. And I don't get the social. I don't get the social aspect. The good crack. It's good crack because he's such a good guy. He's like he loves it. He loves it.
Yeah, no, that makes all the difference. Like the comparison to a gym would be 50 strangers walking around with headphones on.
Yeah. Well, I did try a gym one day, and I'm like, I've never been to one of these places before. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah, they're not fun whenever ultimately what we probably enjoy more than anything is just the being outside,
Yeah.
regardless of the activity.
I agree.
So just touching a little bit more on the financial aspect and the World Trail Majors obviously is Transgrancanaria is part of that series.
Yeah.
And there's decent prize money for that
Mm,
series now. I think Courtney and the Portuguese guy's name's passing me by at the moment. Last year's champions, they won 15 grand for
mm.
winning the series. And I mean, it's very easy for me to say, but it doesn't seem like it's that hard a series to win.
No,
If you compare it to like Golden Trail or a UTMB, will that play into any kind of race choices, given that you just have to basically it's really your best two results from the series? Like, are you considering other World Trail major races?
no, no. I had like a brief chat with because Mark told me about it. Mark Derbyshire, he mentioned it to me. He's like, "Oh, you should do another one because it gets you this money." But I think Also, like North Face give out bonuses as well at other races, and well, UTMB, but UTMB is definitely like my goal anyway, and Transgrancanaria, and this does line up with the North Face's goals too. So it does work both ways for me and the North Face, because these races are my goals, and these are like the top of the list for me, and these are the ones that I love doing, and I just want to keep coming back to. So the other World Trail Majors Series races, they're not high on the list. They're not high on the list. Like Transgrancanaria is some, yeah. Like I love this race, and I want to go back again next year, and probably the year after. Like I just love the race, and it's like, yeah, I don't need to go anywhere else. I'll just keep going back there. Then I'll go back to UTMB, and it's
Yeah,
like,
well, it's a time of year that as long as you're fit and able to race 130K essentially, then it's a great one to do, and it's so far away. It's almost like the opposite side of the year from the other goal race. So I can see how it all looks well. How do you think about going there in that heat
yeah.
while working in the shitty British weather all winter?
No, I I did think about going out training this year. I was like, oh, I might go out for a month just to get like acclimatized to the heat and the terrain and everything like that as well. But I actually love training for this race at home, Aaron. Like I'm not even joking. It's like the best thing ever. It's like over winter. I love winter. Hills here in winter just so good. I know that you can get bad weather and it's pretty crappy on them days. Like when the wind's there, like you were saying about the quality before, like if you do an uphill tempo in the wind, it's like you're not really doing an uphill tempo. You're doing a battle with wind. This is not an uphill tempo. This is
Can you
more like,
imagine what that's like for a slower person? Like, whenever you're in the middle of the pack doing an ultra and there's a strong wind, that makes somebody walk. I've endured this and it makes you feel shit. It might slow your run down from a tempo to something slower. It makes the slower people walk. So yeah, I feel you. It's not fun.
the
Like, what was
just
the what was some of the fun sessions you were doing in preparation? I had a flick through some of your Strava, and you're doing like a casual double skiddaw, which would be a cracking run for the viewers and listeners. That was just under 1,800 meters of gain in a little under 3 hours. So that's like a lovely up and down, up and down. Very,
yeah,
very good training for ultra trail.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, long climb, good trail. It's perfect for these Euro mountain ultras. And so I use Skiddaw for like the runnable uphill, and I use Yoke for the runnable uphill, and I use Helvellyn because it's quite steep. I use Helvellyn to smash the quads up to try and get used to downhill. So I go to Helvellyn to get my quads strong, and I go to Skiddaw and Yoke to use for uphill fitness. The sessions I was doing, so I was doing 2 uphill tempos a week and 1 specific long run. And the specific long run was done at race pace. So I was doing, including in the long run, I was doing tempo work as well.
Excellent. You seem to be someone that likes to run hard or race hard. What's your strategy whenever you're thinking about towing the line of something that's going to take 12, 13, 14 hours? Are you, and I think a good way to frame this is like thinking about RPE and burning matches. Like, how many matches are you looking to burn? And where are you looking to kind of flex that RPE? And where's the baseline? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this one was different. I built up a solid base over winter. So I did quite a few weeks of the flat running that we're talking about. So I felt fit. And then I repeated the runs like the Skiddaw runs, the Yoke runs, and the times were quicker than last year. So I thought, okay, I must be pretty fit. I repeated 2 laps of Helvellyn as well. So I did last year. I did 2 laps of Helvellyn. It's a specific long run, hard effort, race pace, and then I went back and did that again this time, and it was like 25 minutes faster or something like that.
And for me as well, how long is that for that? How long is a lap?
15 miles a lap.
Okay,
So it's
great.
2 laps. It was 30 miles, and it was about 8,000 feet of climbing. Yeah, exact same route as last year. Probably similar conditions. Nutrition, full kit. race effort. And that's when I got back and I was like, all right, you know, yeah, I must be fitter. Like there's another year of training in the bank, another year of consistent training. So I was like, okay, yeah, I feel good. I'm ready to take a different approach to this race. And the thinking about the distance, I usually do that. I'm usually like, oh, I'll start the race at like, say UTMB. I'm like, oh, I might start Cormier, Champagne Lac, or this one. Like I remember last year, I was like, okay, it starts at Tieda. This time that was not the case. So I was like, I'm gonna go off from the start and just see what happens.
Tieda's 80k.
Yeah, I think so. Quite chunky, but you've still got a good amount left. So that's the approach I took going into this race. It was literally go hard from the start and see what happens. And
Love it.
don't think about the distance, the elevation. Let's just be in the moment. And yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was
So
so
like
good.
let's forget about the first hour of the race per se, because there's obviously some matches getting burnt, and the priorities are very different than the whole rest of the race. But once it settles down and you see the first big-ish group, like before it starts to thin down, what's the how like when are you burning matches there? Are you like managing moves or covering off moves?
Yeah. Like I look forward to races that I'll do in the future, and I won't be so trying to make moves so early on like I was doing. I felt really good, and obviously I had this mindset of I want to go out and push hard, and that's kind of what I was doing. So I was pushing the hills kind of hard, and I knew that I was kind of burning matches a little bit, and but I felt really good, so it was really hard not to do this. What do you do? I can't say anything. How do I know if I'm not going to keep pushing now that I might still be doing this later? So yeah, I was burning a few matches, especially through the night. Like there was me, John, and Caleb, and sometimes I would take off going up the climb a bit, and they were probably like, "Yeah, he'll come back." But yeah, it's hard because yeah, I felt fit, felt good, and that's the approach I took to the race. So
And it almost feels like just the fitter you are, the more you feel like you can stretch the band without breaking
yeah,
it on
yeah,
yourself. So did it just feel like one of those days where you
yeah.
you were able to just flex it and you knew that, well, I'm gonna get a bit of a recovery or whatever. You were comfortable enough to do that all day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt. Yeah, I remember going up the first climb last year behind the leading pack. I was sweating like mad. I was puffing and probably wouldn't have wanted to push much harder. This year, I went up and I was like, I felt awesome. I wasn't puffing. Like, there wasn't much sweating going on. Like I knew then, I'm like, all right, okay, just behind Caleb. I feel, I must be pretty fit right now. And then I got a bit excited, and I was like, this is going to be a great day out. This is going to be a great day out. Then it ended up being me, John, and Caleb for a long time, which was awesome.
And I've heard John say that you were very happy or
Yeah,
like in great, like you could just generally buzzing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Was that just because you were enjoying what was going on, or was that because you were in the front? There was three of you racing at the front, and it was just that experience that was the buzz.
Yeah, I am usually buzzing in races. I always try and keep that positive mindset. If you always feel you can give yourself energy just by being positive, just loving the moment. Like I love it anyway, so it's like, yeah, yeah. No, I think I've been like that in many races. Like I look back to UTMB, yeah, many races I'm like that. And I'm just kind of in the moment where I'm like, I'm just loving this. There are bits where you feel like, oh, this is getting a grind, but that soon goes away again. It's like mindset shifts. As soon as you change the mindset to something like, oh, beautiful day. Like I remember going up this climb with Caleb. There was a cloudy version, sun was rising, mid. We just like fist bumped each other. We're like, this is awesome. Like we're pushing hard. Like Sunsus Rose, cloudy version. We're like, yeah. So
It feels like this. It's it feels like this performance was like a breakthrough for
mm,
you. because although, the likes of Tom Evans didn't start the race, it almost doesn't really matter whenever we know the quality of John Albon.
Yeah, yeah,
For this around the 100k distance, many would consider him maybe the best,
yeah, yeah.
or in that very small tier of the best. And then Caleb Olsen as well. Like, this was also a breakthrough performance for him. The signs were there whenever he had that stunning race at Ultra Trail Cape Town, and then he's kind of backed it up, and now people are like, okay, he's the real deal. Because
He is.
sometimes we like Americans, we have to see them racing outside America a couple of times and sticking it before all right, he's part of the scene now. It feels like after this race, you're part of this conversation. Like, people in America or outside of Britain, some people may not have known your name, but whereas I think you've arrived now.
Okay, that's good.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that there's any pressure or energy to come out of this?
Mm, I don't think pressure. I don't know whether I ever feel pressure. I mean, I do a little bit because I'm sponsored, and you've got to put in a good shift. The pressure is like, the external stuff, and like, because I love training that much, it's like I just get the training done, try and race hard. Um, I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing it because it's my passion, and that's why I'm doing it. But yeah, of course, I want to try and put in the best performance that I can. But I think still going forward, I'm not like a John, or like where like John, everyone knows John immediately. Yeah, I'm not sure how it'll play out. I've always been, as I keep progressing the block on the block, I've been like always like, oh, hopefully I do have a breakout run at some point, and because you never know how far you can go, whether the trainings work. There's so many variables. There's like everything's got to come together for something like that to happen. It's like kit, nutrition, mindset, training. There's so many things, isn't there, that have to come together. But yeah, pressure, no.
And whenever you are in the day of the race, the hours before the race, are you feeling that normal pre-race jitters that the majority of people would feel?
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to come across as too relaxed. Well, I was
It's
trying.
okay. Like, it is what it is.
I was like kind of trying to be like that on the day I cut. I was literally just being myself and listening to music and chatting to my wife, drinking tea, and just being like that, like it was another day, like any other day. And it was super nice, and that really did help to me being so relaxed at the start. Like, we chilled out, we drank tea, we had lunch. Just like any other day. Obviously, there's a race happening at midnight, so it's a bit different. Yeah, no, had everything prepared. And because I had everything prepared, like I wasn't flapping and worrying around or anything like that. It's like, just listening to the music, chilling. It was super nice. It was super nice. And I was excited, and yeah, like a little nervous as well. And like it's a mix of nerves and excitement, but yeah, it was fun.
I get the impression that you just might be more excited about a race that's happening at midnight rather than nervously checking a bag or have I got this, have I got my nutrition right, or whatever. I feel like that would be an unnatural state for you to be in.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, yeah. If I was in that state, then that would fluster me up for sure. I would be like, that would give me nerves. If I'm looking like around the bag, like I just want to get everything prepared. I do that a few days before, and then yeah, I've learned like you just do everything the same that you do in your normal day, day to day. Because when you change stuff, like this is what we do when we get to races. We're like, oh, we need to change this. This has got to be like this. Like, yeah, but I don't normally do that. Like my training run 5 weeks ago, I was just doing what I did the day before that. So I've
Easier
learned.
said than done, though. Like, it's
It
easier,
is.
like, because the
Yeah.
majority of people would just arrive into this situation where they had to maybe get their bag ready and the nerves just start coming in. So,
Yeah,
like, even the fact that you said there, well, I'd get my bag ready a couple of days before,
yeah,
that
yeah,
some people don't know to do that. And I know from personal experience, it probably took me years of realizing, hold on, I'm absolutely shit at organizing a drop bag and a pack the day before the race. I need to do this like before I travel to the race, or as far as logistically possible from it. So I'm not even thinking about it, because those are the bits that kind of make me nervous.
yeah, yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? So it's interesting that you thought like that.
yeah,
Let's move on a little bit. I want to touch on the training and then talk a little about nutrition. Previously, you were coached by Kim Collison and
yeah.
then Martin Stone. Both actually have been on the show. How long have you been self-coached, and what parts of the training methodology or principles have you taken from each of those to create your own training that works for you?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. Like I was with Kim for 2 years, and Kim's a guy that's helped me a lot. He's a good friend, and we still meet up a lot. Kim's had a big input into my training and yeah, like going forward and stuff like that. So with Kim, we tried a few different things, but obviously went to the running side of things. Like I was saying, like the flat running, we worked on that quite a lot. Brought the speed work, the intervals, the tempos, did a lot of that. I did some kind of volume with Kim, which I really enjoyed. My body seemed to like that kind of stuff. And yeah, maybe some like 110-mile weeks where I was like, I'm loving this kind of training. Body seems to be absorbing it. I think I raced Snowdonia off that kind of training. I did. I raced the 100-mile when Kim was coaching me, or some kind of training like that, like 110, 15-mile weeks. And body felt good in the race, and I raced well off that. So I look back to that and thought, oh, well, that was one of my best runs that I'd done, the 100-mile Snowdonia. I ran like right till the end. Body felt good. So I was like, all right, that training worked. And with Martin, did lower volume, bit more intensity, lots of strides. Love the strides. Thought the strides were great. Um, different types of things with Martin. Like not like 90 miles a week, still quite a bit. It's a lot. So that was a different approach. And with Martin, I knew that I love volume, and I knew that like Martin's a great coach. Learned a lot of mine. After Martin, like I came to a decision. This was last June. Coming up to UTMB, I look back to the 100-mile. So Martin wanted to take, I don't know what approach he wanted to take, but I look back to Snowdonia, the 100-mile, a few years ago when I ran well off that kind of training, and I was like, I think I know what I need. I think I know what I need. Love the strides. Um, I love the uphill tempos. I like the flat work, but I love the volume. If I combine all this stuff into a block, um, yeah, that just excites me so much. I'm like, the fire inside is burning. I'm like, so I left Martin, said thanks to Martin for helping me, and I went self-coach. Took on this block before UTMB, so I did this volume block of exactly that. I was doing the tempos, the flat running, the volume days. Also, I noticed that I don't like long runs too over like 5 hours, because it can leave you fatigued for a few days. Like that's only me. Everybody's different, but I like for UTMB. I only did like up to 5 hours, and Transgrancanaria this year the same again, only up to 5 hours. Because then you can do a section like 2 or 3 days later because your body's not that fatigued. So I like the long runs like that, and thought that everything for UTMB, I just love that training block. So I know that's what I enjoy. The body actually absorbs it. I'm not fighting it. I'm actually taking it in. So I'm like, I can kind of handle this kind of training, and that's what I love. That's what excites me. Going forward, it's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'll do the same again for UTMB, the volume, and I'll try and push it a little bit more because we want to be working. I think when you've got to push boundaries, you've got to be trying to get the most out of yourself, right?
Yeah, and whenever you mentioned working with Kim and then working with Martin, it feels like two different styles of training, and just by like from changing the focus from this volume based to this less volume, more intensity, more strides, there's going to be a new stimulus coming from that, and that's where
Yeah,
fitness comes from.
it is.
What quantity of strides? Sorry to get into the weeds, but I enjoy this shit too. So,
Yeah,
like,
oh, so
what are we?
good, so
Are you
good.
talking about hill strides? You do flat strides, or like 10, 20, 30 seconds? What?
Yeah,
Give us some of the stuff that you're prescribing yourself.
yeah. It's flat strides, 20 seconds, 2 minutes rest. Working on the running form makes you feel fast. So I'll bring a lot more of them back into this block now, and I'll just use them right up until UTMB. How many a week? I'll probably do 20 a week. After I'll do like maybe 10 after an easy run, then 10 later on in the week after another easy run. I'll continue with the flat running. Yeah. Because we all work off different types of training, right? Our bodies are all different and they work off different kinds of. Some people like the intensity and the lower volume, and some people like the volume. And yeah, yeah. So yeah, hopefully going forward, hopefully I found a method.
Until you need a new stimulus. Anyway, I
Until you need a new stimulus,
I
more volume
posted.
about
Yeah, well, just swap back to the other style and then swap back again. Um,
it.
I posted on Instagram a couple of days ago there that like I did this 2 hour long run, and I know sometimes it feels like should I be calling the 2 hour run long, but
Yeah,
in London, flat as a pancake, and honestly, 2 hour flat run is definitely harder for me than 5 hours
yeah,
on the trails. Like,
I
it's
agree.
just that repetitiveness and like, oh, my feet are starting to hurt. Like normally my feet don't hurt for about 10 hours into an ultra, and they're hurting after about an hour and a half on a canal path. So
Yeah,
it's so true about like what you're used to, and like also training that weakness. So it's important for me to continue the flat running. And whenever I spend quite a bit of time in the Alps, and last year I had to add in one flat run every week because I was finding I was coming back to London and just my calves were taking like a week, 2 weeks to adjust to just no vert, which is just like it's just ridiculous. It's like, oh no, my body is ridiculous.
I get the same.
So again, looking at your training block, it looked like you're right up there, like 180k weeks, 18ish hours, 6k vert, and then you drop down to what I'm looking like maybe like a 10-day taper. Talk a little bit about what the taper looked like, and and what your mindset is there.
Yeah. What did I do? It might have been a 10-day taper. Yeah, I felt like 2 weeks is good for me. But the first week, not keep it quite high, because I've noticed that I feel sluggish if I just drop it too much. Like, still want to be busy, still want to be working around. Like if I drop it too much, I'm just like, oh. That's when the strides come in as well. Like, totally fire you up. Like I think the strides in taper are just so good because they just get you so fired up. I remember doing them outside the hotel in Gran Canaria. I was like, oh, loving this. And then I'm just like, I get back in and I'm like, cylinders are firing. Whereas if I just done the easy run, it wouldn't be the same. It's like, you need to get the cylinders firing.
Yeah, so true. And like strides are one of those things that I think a lot of people struggle to understand what to do. For the sake of the viewers, for the listeners, how would you structure a stride? And think of this as you're explaining to someone how to do them.
Yeah. It's not like an all-out sprint, so you don't want to be because you're working on like running form. So you want to be head up, midfoot landing, looking forward. I'm just working on the running form. That's what I'm thinking all the time as I'm doing these strides. Good leg turnover, and yeah, it's like 90% effort. So you build up throughout the stride. It's like the stride is 20 seconds in total, and then like about 10 seconds you want to be 90% effort, and then gradually calm down, and they feel great. And I am sure that strides have helped me, just genuinely in the flat running side of things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think you absolutely nailed that description as well. People will be going off and doing strides next week after they hear this.
But yeah, everyone's nailing the strides. Strides are great, man.
Whenever I've seen some of the pictures of Transgrancanaria, John and Caleb have a mixture of in the zone and working in terms of facial expression. When you saw the photographers, you were smiling. You had the AirPods in, and you were smiling. What were you listening to? And like, yeah, start off. What were you listening to?
I have a mixture on there actually. There's just a bit of everything. So something will come on and I'll be like, oh, this is so good. But something like the Offspring, you know, the Offspring, they are so good. Something like that comes on and I'm like totally fired up. But also I have there's everything on there because some of Mel's music is on there as well. So even there's some like Adele and stuff on there as well. Like this is a bit chill. Yeah, drum and bass is great. Drum and bass is so good for running. I'm someone that listens to a bit of everything, but yeah, that kind of music, drum and bass, Blink 182, stuff like that.
I'm liking the music choices. I was sort of half expecting that you would be listening to like Oasis greatest hits blocks. Yeah, no, Blink 182 and Offspring is great stuff, and
I've got
a
the
little bit
album
of.
on now. I mean, I've got the album on Blink 182 the band now. So when I'm driving to training runs, I'm just like, oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Are you listening to music and training?
No, no, I don't listen to music in training. No, only in racing.
I never listen to music other than like a workout. I like to listen to it on a workout, or if I would sometimes do workouts on the treadmill, and I think it's good in that sense. But you're just basically putting out in race day, and it's something you're adding in then.
Yeah, yeah. Some I'm adding in like a bit later in just to give me a bit more psych.
And that is that what you're using it for? Like some people will listen to stuff as a distraction. Some people will listen for like the rhythm. What are you listening to it for?
Yeah, to get pumped. Like when one of them songs comes on, it can help me drive the hill. Like if a song comes on, I'm like, oh, this is so good. I'm able to push harder. I'm absolutely sure of it. And especially on downhill, like you know, if you've got good songs coming on downhill, you can push downhill even harder. I reckon it's so good.
Uh, Looking at your Strava file for Gran Canaria, and I scrolled down to have a look at your gap, nerding out and all that type of shit, and I noticed that your auto lap was set to 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Are you using that as a nutritional alert?
yeah. It's nutritional army.
So talk a little bit about the fueling strategy, what you were practicing going into the race. Some of the SIS products as well, like I think like that beta fuel and stuff has been getting a lot of good praise. And then how did it go in the race?
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely love the beta fuel. So in training, yeah, I've just been spent a lot of time working on this, trying to get the stomach solid. So I've been using the beet fuel, which is like 80 grams of carbs in the drink, 40 grams in the gels. So it's you get a lot. You get a good bang for your buck. That amount of carbs in a drink or in a gel is quite a lot. And then the caffeine gels. So in the race, I'm just firing something in every 20 minutes. It's like, especially with the effort level as well. It's like something needs to be going in.
Something needs to be going in, but it's also very hard to be banging something every 20 minutes,
Yeah,
especially if a gel is 40 grams. Like I remember you mentioning in a previous podcast somewhere that you were hitting 100 grams of carb per hour for UTMB.
yeah, yeah.
Has that progressed? Is it something you're trying to progress? And how was it for Gran Canaria?
The first few hours of Gran Canaria is definitely 120 because I was taking 80 grams of beet fuel drink and then a gel which was 40 grams, so I was hitting 120, and that's definitely progressed since last year because last year was only 100, and yeah, it worked. So I'll just take that going forward. 120, yeah. I reckon I put a lot of the effort level that I was able to sustain down to fueling for sure. 100, 120 grams an hour. Yeah, it's so important.
And are you hitting those types of numbers in training?
Yeah, yeah. In training, 120 grams for sure. So like 4 hour runs, 5 hour runs, 120 grams of carbs, or like a double uphill tempo run, 120 grams of carbs. Yeah, I'm hitting these numbers. Just like I'm pretty set on that I need to keep up with that in training just to keep the stomach solid.
Are you thinking about nutrition and gut training as something that you're tying to, like another one of these training things that we tie into the long run, as the long run becomes more and more like the practice race, like the race simulation? You're going, okay, if it's a long run, I'm doing 120 grams of carb, I'm taking the race kit, I'm leaving none of this up to surprise for on race day. But like, is it tied to long runs, or are you doing it for are you doing 120 for a 2 hour run?
I'm not strict, but the long runs I'm very strict. And if it was a double uphill tempo, which how long's that? Maybe 2.5. Yeah, maybe I would be strict for that. Also, you can bounce back because you fueled the body so well, can't you? It's, the next day you're good to go again because you fueled your body so well. So even when I'm not close to a race, like if I'll do a long run on Saturday and I'll do it then, and that'll be between 2 and 3 hours. So I'll I'll do 100, 120 grams of carbs then, and just so the body's fueled.
And whenever you think about, you're obviously an SIS athlete, so you're using their products, and we see, you know, as you start pivoting towards UTMB, some athletes will then start training with NAC, or they all will already train with NAC because it's at those aid stations. Like, what will be your strategy there? Will you just think, well, I'm not using anything from the aid stations bar water, or will you carry extra stuff? What will be the mindset?
Yeah, I do have a backup box in my crew bag in case things go a little bit pear shaped, like still with science in sports products, but like bars and stuff like that instead. But yeah, whether I'll train with NAC, I'm not sure whether I'll do that. I'll just hope that the stomach stays okay. But yeah, I'll take water and coke from the aid stations, and that's about it. Probably oranges, fruit. Fruit goes down a treat in ultras, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fresh fruit is like wow. Orange, anything like pineapples, like oh, that is so good.
I know you would think that orange would be too acidic or terrible, but like it kind of cleanses the mouth.
Done it? It does. I love
Yeah,
it. In Transgrancanaria, I had some oranges.
yeah. No, no, it's good. I remember one year that what year was it? I think it was UTMB 2021, and the shipment of bananas that they got for all the aid stations, the bananas were so freaking green. Like they must have been cutting them with a hacksaw. Nobody could eat the bananas. They were like, it was like Mars bars
Yeah, 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 yeah.
without taste. But yeah, you can always fall back on an orange because it's either too sweet or too not too bitter, but more of a bitterness to it, and either one's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thinking a bit about your gear, one thing that stood out after Transgrancanaria was that both in the men's and women's podium, there was three different versions of the Flight Active shoe,
Yeah,
which was pretty like that's great for the North Face, and it
yeah,
says
yeah, yeah.
it says a lot about that shoe. I've not tried the North Face shoes, but in the Trail Talk WhatsApp community, there are diehard North Face shoe lovers, like
Is it?
from the Altamesa 300, 500, from the Flight Vectives right the way through. People
That's
have
cool.
tried these shoes and love them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Why did you pick that shoe? Like, talk a little bit about the gear. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So the North Face gear, yeah, is quality. It's the North Face. The jackets and stuff are brilliant, and the shoes, yeah, really love the shoes. So they've got a big choice of shoes now. The Pro 3, I hadn't had time to do enough training in the Pro 3 for this race. So, and I also know the race is quite rocky. So, my shoe choice was only decided in the days like I was set like on the Wednesday. I was like, because it's rocky on the descent. Like the pro shoes have a good amount of cushioning, so they're perfect for the trail and the road and stuff like that. But then for the downhill, you want something like a bit more responsive, feel the ground, something you can fly over rocks with. And they've got Sky 2 for that, which is a really nice shoe. It's got 5mm lugs, really responsive. I use it in fells around here,
It looks like
like
a
my
great
lot.
shoe for like a couple of hour run, like in the fells.
Exactly, Aaron. Yeah. It's perfect for that. That's what I've been using it for, and I love it. And you can really throttle downhills with that shoe on. It's super tight, which I like. Like I say, you can feel the ground really well. So I would have had that shoe on for the descent, but because it's so long, it's 80 miles. This shoe is not really made for running for between 12 and 14 hours. So it's going to have to be the Pro 2, which is still the shoe is so beautiful. Like, I love this shoe. It's just the downhill bit was the only. But you can't have everything. Like there isn't an all rounder for that race, unless you want to swap shoes, which I didn't want to do. You could have swapped shoes in Tieda, done the climb, then done the descent in the Sky 2. But I was prepared to go all the way in the Pro 2. But yeah, the amount of cushioning you get on them Pro 2s, like they're insanely comfy. Absolutely no problems with this shoe. You know, it's super nice. Like I say, the muscle soreness wasn't too bad after this race, and I had this last time off the UTMB as well. And I put this down to see about cushioning you get in these shoes. Like the quads, I look back to many ultras that I've done, and you've got DOMs for how many days after, and you struggle to run. You can put it down to the nutrition, the training as well. This is two other things as well, but I also say the shoes because you've got so much. They're taking such an impact. And yeah, I use the bag, pole belt, the North Face pole belt, which is great because a lot of people use quiver, right?
Yeah.
I use the belt. I think it goes in great. I love it, and it's solid. It's easy to get out. Yeah, they've got great stuff, North Face, and with the shoes and stuff, they're progressing. This is where they're going. The North Face progressing with the shoes.
Yeah, they've been playing a blinder the last couple of years with the shoes. One thing that stood out was John was all in orange and he
Yeah,
had the white pack on,
yeah.
and then you were all in orange bar bits of black. And I was thinking whenever I saw it, I was like, I hope that's not gonna like the heat is not gonna get the Josh because of this. Did you think about that and did it affect you? Did you just think you look cooler in the black?
Ninja style, man. Going ninja style on the Transgrancanaria. I do love black though, Aaron. It's my favourite colour. No, I need to be out there. Yeah, I need to be out there a bit more. I need to start wearing wild colours. Um, no, the white bag, the orange shorts, they are the kit that I should have really had on. What it was I hadn't trained in the white pack like Pro 3, and the shorts I got size medium instead of size small. So I had a few pairs of size medium, and they were too big. So they were okay for photo shoots, but not for actual racing. And so I did a few photo shoots with the white bag and the orange shorts and the orange t-shirt. The North Face were okay with me racing in the black shorts and the Pro 2 and the black bag. But you are right, the white bag would have been better.
So, of course, this was a big kind of North Face event, and a lot of the athletes were there, and there was activations and things leading up to the race. Like, how much of that was taking your time and or maybe distracting you?
Yeah, sometimes I enjoy doing these things for the North Face. So I did like a run on the Wednesday, and then what else did I do? Something else on the Tuesday. Oh, that was it. Yeah, the photo shoot. On the Tuesday, run on the Wednesday, and then met Zach Miller for a run on the Thursday, and I was like, we ran up to the riverbed and back, and I'm like, what do you think about going out? How hard Zach? We all know how Zach Miller races, so all I need to do is ask Zach what he thinks. Zach's like, yeah, he sounded like I should do that. But he wasn't too much. He wasn't like, oh, definitely do that, because obviously he knows that it can go poorly as well. So
Well, he's got wiser in his more mature
yeah,
years, so he probably knows that like you gotta do these things your way.
yeah.
Incidentally, like I did notice that on your Strava when I was scrolling through, and you weren't hanging around. You know, it was you had I think you were out for like 16Ks or whatever,
Yeah,
and I also noted that whenever you stopped or did it, like you must have stopped at some point to turn around or whatever it was. Zach didn't even pause his watch. Like his average pace was shit, whereas yours was.
well, this is Zach Miller, right? So there's people out on the trail like, oh, it's Zach Miller. We need a photo with Zach.
I'm paused it every time.
This is what was happening.
He should have said I'm Liam Gallagher.
Sing your Wonderwall or something like that.
Did Zach give you any like pearls of wisdom or like how like whenever we look at Zach, he's been around for a while now, and obviously you're coming up to the scene. This will be your third UTMB this year, and Zach's really experienced now, and he's
Yeah,
also progressed, and like he's a top echelon, is what I'm saying in global ultra trail. Like, what can you get from him as someone that's got more experience and a teammate?
yeah, of course, yeah. Zach, yeah, no, he's like Zach's awesome, and he's like you say, super experienced, and he loves his own style of training as well, like kind of like I do. And he said that he looks back in his career about coaching, and because he hasn't been coached, well, he might have done, but he said that when he hasn't been coached, or he thought you can get a lot out of yourself if you listen to your body. He was telling me a cool story about when he raced this 50K. This was a long time ago. He came like eighth or something like that, and he was like, "This was one of the first ones he did." He was like, "Oh, maybe I'm not that good." And then he raced the JFK 50 like a month later and won, and it was
Yes,
like an absolute game changer for him. It's like, what if he'd never ran that JFK 50?
yeah, it was a pivotal moment in his career.
Exactly, exactly. And Zach's like totally a guy that likes to take out races hard, right?
Hmm.
If there's one guy that knows how to take out an ultra hard, it's Zach Miller.
Yeah, it's like synonymous with Zach Miller. That's one of the things that he wrote the playbook for it,
Yeah,
and we see those videos of him just like balls out. I think is the style. It's fun. It's a fun type of runner and racer to follow. But I think you have some of this too. Like that's how you kind of race as well. You know, it's kind of getting after it.
yeah, I think so. I think I like that for sure. Because it's exciting, and you've got to try these things. Like I'm willing, give it a shot, and why not give it a go? If I'm always playing it safe, you
You'll
never
not learn
know.
the limits. Yeah. So looking forward to the rest of the year, like what does your schedule look like? We know obviously that we've got UTMB at the end of the month or end of August. What will you do between now and then? Like, will you jump into some fell races, some shorter races? Do you have any travel trips planned?
I've got Snowdonia 100K in May, so between now and then, I'm just going to keep the training, the strides, do some strength work, not lay on too much. I want to stay fit, but this peak that I always like, or whether it's psychological or it's, I want to save that until UTMB. I'm saving this block of training that I love um, for after Snowdonia. So I'll just keep it at a steady level right up until Snowdonia. Do Snowdonia, recover from Snowdonia, and then I was thinking about this before. Like I'm totally psyched again to plan out this block of training for UTMB. I'll go out to teens again, and I'll spend 6 weeks in teens, in altitude, training for UTMB again. And this year I'm going to try and stretch the training a little bit more than I did last year. Like last year, I still was on top of it, felt good, and I think I can go a bit further with it. So I'm going to try and do that.
And when will you go to teens?
I think I'm going July.
Okay, so basically right through to the race.
Yeah. I'll go right through to the race. I'm going to drive out this time, so sure, I can take all
Perfect.
the nutrition. I can take the 120 grams of carbs an hour without having to worry about taking it all on the plane. That's a
Yeah,
lot
no,
of nutrition.
I have that drive on lock. It's such an easy drive. Like it takes on a Friday, London to the Lake District could easily take you 8 hours, and it's half the distance of London to Chamonix. And
No way.
door to door is 10 hours, including the tunnel. And it's
No
like
way.
you stick the address into Google Maps, and it says, drive straight for 280 kilometers and then take a left. It's like, you get like 5 directions along the way. It's so easy, such an easy drive.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I didn't really like you went the teens last year, but I didn't
Yeah.
have you pegged as one of the teens cowboys. Scotty Hawker, Dan Jones, Ronnie Sparks. Are you training with those guys when you're going out there? Obviously,
No. I was totally in my own like bubble. And I'll do this
but like
again.
it's a small place.
It is a small place. Like I kept seeing them, and yeah, I was loving this. Like my wife says to me all the time, "How do you spend this much time on your own and like not talk to anyone?" It's like I like that. Like I'm very sociable as well. Like I like talking to people as well. But I was totally in this like training zone where I would wake up every day. I was happy being on my own. Um, I would go out, train, come back, eat lunch, train, eat tea, sleep, and just repeat the same again. And I was just absolutely loving it. Yeah, it was so good.
I was just thinking that you were just a new addition to the trail running boy band, but obviously not. That's cool. Look, let's start to wind things down here. One of the things I would really love to know is, as we've touched on, 152 for 11th place at UTMB last year. And what are the things, like, where do you see improvement to get you into that top 10 to lower that time, all things being equal or whatever? But where are you going to focus that effort to improve?
Well, last year, up in like the whole race up until Cormier just was, yeah, it was horrendous. I was just having stomach problems, which like I must have lied down about 4 times. Yeah, it was just horrible. So that definitely there. Like I got to Cormier way past my time that I wrote down. Like I think I was even slower to Cormier than I was the year before. Totally that. It's like I need to get from the start to Cormier much faster than I do. Like the second half of the race, like I probably can't get any faster because the second half of the race last year went really well. I drived all the way from Cormier to the finish, but I just need to get to Cormier faster.
That's a risky strategy.
yeah,
There's a lot of people who just wanted to get the Cormier faster, and then they come into Cormier in a sweaty mess and
yeah.
struggle to get out of it. So is that like there must be something that you're thinking about that you know is it just nailing? You feel like you've got a better handle on nutrition, or like how are you going to get the Cormier faster, but also in good nick to then run the next DK or not next 70K?
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be fitter because I'm definitely fitter than last year. Um, and I just want to look after myself, nutrition wise, taking in the electrolytes. Just keep looking after myself. Don't push the effort too much. Yeah, just keep settled. None of this pushing hills like I was doing at Transgrancanaria early in the race. None of that kind of stuff.
Why not? Sure, it's just an extra 40K. Like, surely if you can do it at Transgrancanaria, like, what I wouldn't want to see is, going to UTMB and having a different strategy. But then
Yeah.
it's also so much more dangerous to race it at the front. Like,
Mm,
so how do you balance that? Like, what is the thought? Obviously, you nearly need to forget about the first DKs until things shake out or
yeah.
whatever. But like, how are you thinking about your potential in that race in terms of like I'm not asking you what do you think you can run it in time wise, but like where are you thinking? Are you thinking just settle into your own groove? Are you thinking let's work together as a pack to get the Cormier? Like what are the sort of strategy thoughts in your head?
Yeah, I think so. Settle into my own groove, and what feels sustainable. Call me and then yeah, if hopefully I can run like I did last year, the second half. Like I do love these 100 milers. The hill, like UTMB is great because it's got loads of big hills at the end, and that's kind of what I love. So yeah, like the first half of the course is quite runnable, isn't it? You know, out of down to La Houche, even to La Contamine, it's you only got one hill,
Uh,
and that's like 20 miles in. La Contamine, the hill work doesn't really start until after then, does it?
Yeah, like it feels like you're starting to get into it when you're climbing up the Col de Home.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, I've no idea how to go.
We'll leave it at that. Right, let's not push you any more in this. Like let's just run through some closing questions. Take them as long or as short as you want. But like, obviously, you're a North Face athlete. But prior to the North Face, maybe including the North Face, it doesn't really matter. Like, what have been some of your favorite pieces of gear of all time?
The North Face vest, I love that. The 8 litre race vest is yeah, absolutely love that. The
Eight
pole belt
liter is a 8 liter is a perfect size.
is
Salomon went from they used to have a 5 and an 8, and then they changed it to a 10 and a 12. I'm like, 10's too big.
yeah,
Used
yeah,
to be
yeah,
able to do UTMB with an 8 liter pack, no problem. So yeah, I haven't tried the North Face vests. It's something you'd recommend.
yeah, yeah. They're great. They're really good. And the Pro 2, I love the Pro 2. Like I was never because I live here in the lakes. I've always been a guy that wears low profile shoes and something that's responsive on the technical terrain. So obviously I don't wear the Pro 2 a lot in the lakes, but when I go to UTMB and I'll put the Pro 2 on, like super impressed. Love that shoe.
It feels like you're under sponsor obligation here with these answers.
Look,
Let's move on. I want to also ask you, like, what does your bucket list of races look like? You know, what's on that? What's that top five races that
yeah,
you want to experience over the next 10 years or whatever the time scale is?
three that excite me the most: UTMB, Hard Rock, and Grand Raid Reunion.
A reunion, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Reunion.
do you think about it that I want to get the most out of myself at UTMB or like obviously when do you start thinking about hard rock qualifiers as well? Like UTMB used to be a qualifier and now it's not, which is an absolute pain in the arse. But like what do you think about that?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. I will start to think about that in the next few years. UTMB is like top of my list right now, so this is the one that yeah, I'm totally driven for.
I think if you want to run hard rock, the best way for you to do it is to start contacting Dale
Really?
or maybe even have a word with Zach Miller to see
Yeah,
if you could get in as one of Dale's picks.
yeah,
You know, because he does like to give out picks to interesting international athletes as well. Because it seems like such a shame that someone like you would have to target a hard rock qualifier
yeah,
whenever that would mean basically running a 100 miler with 10,000 meters of vert just to
yeah,
get
yeah,
a place in a lottery, and then you have to do that for I don't know 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just trying to like give you my take on this because I've been
yeah,
running
yeah.
qualifiers since 2017.
Good man.
It takes a lot of work.
I hope you get in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I might get in the next 3 years. I would be past the average of qualifying attempts. But I'm in a year where I have to search for a qualifier, so that's
Really?
also something which is slightly a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you ran a Bob Graham for fun. When was it? How did you do? And do you have aspirations of going back and clocking the time?
It was 2021. The time was like 16 hours 25. And I'm not sure whether it's like I supported Gavin Dale on his winter pub Graham. I thought that was awesome. But yeah, I haven't thought about going back anytime soon. But it would be nice because I live here. But yeah, no, it's I haven't thought about it.
Like a 16-hour bob is very leisurely for you. I would think you sat down on a rock and had a lunch. I think if you ran 16 with that. All right, that's good to know. Who have been like the biggest influences in you basically going down this direction of ultra trail and the global scene?
It was it was good to link up with Kim. Kim knows a lot about the game. He knows quite a bit about the international scene, so he was the one, like try some of these international races, like Madeira, like UTMB. Yeah, he's helped me along them lines. So when I started doing them, and I seen these guys, it's like this is cool. So yeah,
That makes me think that if Kim has been one of these major influences, that at some point down the road you maybe might consider the Tour de Jean.
yeah, a long time away though. This is another thing like the Spine as well. Like the Spine really excites me. It has done for a long time, but that's not on the cards anytime soon.
What age are you?
30.
Yeah, I mean, you can circle back the Tour de Jean in 10 years and you're still good.
This is what I said to Kim. Met him for a run on like Sunday, and I was like, Kim's like 40 on. I'm like, I can do the Spine. Look at you, Kim. I can do the Spine when I'm 40 on. Like, I need to do Transgrancanaria, UTMB, these hard rock. I need to do all this in my 30s. And yeah, he agrees.
Yeah. All right, cool. Last question, and it doesn't have to be running related. What are your guilty pleasures? Give me a couple of guilty pleasures.
Nando's. My wife brought me home this Mars bar cookie the other night. That was seriously good.
And anything non-food?
Non-food.
Music, TV, movies.
Honestly, I spend my whole life researching running. I don't watch it.
I
That
running and I feel my running, and I feel my running sometimes with guilty pleasures. That's a great way to end
don't
it.
don't watch any TV.
All right, super. All right, Josh, great to have you on the show. Appreciate your
No problem.
time, and I look forward to seeing your build and seeing how you knock it out of the park at UTMB this year.
Thanks for having me, Alan. That was awesome. Cheers.